Welcome to the Renegade Insurance Podcast, a podcast dedicated to agency owners, insurance agents to help you grow your business and be more successful. Every episode, we will bring you a different interview with more information about carriers, contacts, and products to help you every day in your insurance business, to help you with clients and to grow your company successfully. Today, I have the great pleasure of bringing to you and interviewing Locke Burt, who is the chairman and CEO of Security First Insurance. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be with you.
Awesome. So you have a very diverse and interesting background, but I first want to start with how you got into insurance.
Well, I think it was a little bit of preordained because my great-grandfather started an insurance agency in Des Moines, Iowa in 1918. And then his son went into the agency. And then my father went into the insurance business in 1950. And we moved to Florida in 1960. And so we were always in the insurance and reinsurance business. And in fact, I met my wife of 54 years at an insurance convention because her family was in the insurance business. So I was destined to be in the insurance business one way or the other. What changed in Florida was Hurricane Andrew. And at the time, I was in the Florida Senate. And that changed the Florida homeowners insurance business forever. I mean, when Hurricane Andrew struck, Allstate and State Farm had probably 75% of the market.
Wow.
And the Hurricane Andrew taught the big insurance companies two lessons. Number one, they needed to be scared of hurricane exposure. And number two, they needed to be scared of the politicians in Tallahassee. So the result of that was that 60% of the homeowners business in Florida is written by Florida specialists like Security First Insurance Company. Okay, and the big name brand insurance companies have a very small market share, and that market share is not going to increase.
Gotcha. So Security First has been around for a bit, and like you mentioned, kind of came out of that.
Well, yeah, it was. I had to get out of the Florida Senate in 2002 because of term limits. I ran for Attorney General and lost to Charlie Crist, who ended up becoming governor. And I felt that there was a need for a homeowners insurance company. And I had been and am still in the property reinsurance business since 1974. And so it wasn't a big stretch to start a homeowners insurance company. We went in business in 2005. So we have been through 26 hurricane seasons.
So you've seen a lot. So I think you've learned a lot over those years as well.
Well, yes. And because I was in the Senate when Hurricane Andrew struck, and there was only two people that could spell insurance in the Senate at that time, myself and a local agent from North Florida named Pat Thomas, we were given the responsibility of representing the Senate in negotiations with the House and the governor and the Department of Insurance in trying to figure out what we should do in Florida after Hurricane Andrew. So I was involved in creating the Florida Hurricane Catastrophe Fund. I was involved in creating the Residential Property and Casualty Joint Underwriting Association, which became Citizens. And I was involved in raising money for FIGA to pay all the claims that couldn't get paid. So I was there from 1991, and Hurricane Andrew struck in 1992 until I had to get out of the Senate in 2002. So I have a unusual background, both being political background, knowing what's going on in Tallahassee, a reinsurance background, which I've been in the reinsurance business since 1974, and the insurance business since 2005.
And so being part of Security First when it first started, what problems did you want to solve that you saw that the market was having because of the hurricane issues?
Well, that was right after the four storms in 2004, and people were still scrambling around. And my business partner is a man named Harry Blywise, and I mean this is a family-held company. Okay, my daughter and I own 48% of the company. Harry and his family own 42% of the company, and 10% of the company is owned by Everest Insurance, which is one of the largest insurance and reinsurance companies in the world.
Hmm.
And our goal was to provide a stable market for insurance agents and their customers in Florida. Because we're privately held, we don't have to worry about quarterly earnings. We can provide a stable and consistent market. And both Harry and I had been successful prior to creating Security First. So our goal was to build a business that we could pass on to our children and grandchildren.
Yes. So keeping it in the family and the tradition going, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
So Security First is one of the largest, you had mentioned, insurance carriers in the state of Florida. Can you talk about some advantages of being the largest and maybe some disadvantages that you see in the insurance market?
Well, I think the advantages that we have is scale. Okay, we have almost 400 employees, and they're all here in Florida. And the new companies that are starting don't have any employees. They outsource their claims handling, they outsource their underwriting, they outsource everything. So if you ask them, how many employees do you really have based in Florida? The answer is 5 or 10. Okay, not very many. We have almost 200 people in our claim department, and from a customer's point of view and an agent's point of view, what this means is when you call Security First, a Floridian is going to answer the phone and talk to you about your claim. Then you're going to see a claim adjuster, a field claim adjuster who lives in Florida, who's a Security First employee, and they're going to take care of you. And we have the largest field claim staff in Florida, and that staff is located all over Florida and actually has been visiting agents to tell them, look, I'm the claim person who lives in your neighborhood, and if you have a claim, I'm going to be the one that adjusts the losses. And when we handle 100% of our daily claims with our own employees, and we can handle a hurricane up to 10,000 claims with our own employees, and that makes us unique. And the smaller companies just don't have the staff to do the job that needs to be done for Floridians.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point for agents to understand is one, you're local, so you understand what it's like to go through a hurricane. And two, the amount of people that you have on your team, should we need to have a claim, that turnaround process, that customer service process is really important to us as agents, knowing that that team is available to help when we're going to need that insurance.
Right. And one of the things that we do, which is different, we approach it as after a claim, would you rather have a check or would you rather have a solution? And think about what happens to you if your roof blows off in a hurricane. And we come to you and say, would you rather have a check or would you rather have a new roof? Well, most people are going to say, I'd rather have a new roof.
Yeah.
And what do I have to do? Nothing. Okay, we have built a proprietary repair network. Okay, it's not managed repair, it's not mandatory, but we have 150 contractors who are ready to go in the event of a storm. And actually, what happens after a hurricane is the first person who shows up at your house will be one of our contractors, and they'll get on the roof and they'll give us a firm bid for replacing or repairing your roof. And if you allow us to repair your roof, then you don't have to worry about it. And we have people who supervise the repairs, and your claim is not closed until you're happy with the new roof and you sign off on it. And if your customers or your agents go to our website, securityfirstflorida.com, and they look at storm stories, we have video testimonials from people who've gone through tornadoes, gone through hurricanes, and will tell you how wonderful the experience is. And that's why we have a Google rating of 4.3, which is really, really high for an insurance company. Okay. Most insurance companies aren't that high.
Yes.
The other thing that sets us apart is, as I said, I've been in the reinsurance business since 1974, and I was head of a reinsurance trade association for a while. And that means we can get a lot of support for reinsurance. And every insurance company is going to tell you, oh, I've got a lot of reinsurance. Don't worry about it. I'm able to pay my claims. Well, Dow Jones has a publication called Market Watch, and they've picked the five best insurance companies in Florida. Okay, and it includes State Farm, big surprise, Chubb, big surprise, Progressive, big surprise. But one of the five is Security First Insurance Company of Florida. And I'm sure somebody reading that would say, well, wait a minute. They're on the same list as Chubb and State Farm and Progressive. Why are they on the list? And what Dow Jones says is we have the best hurricane protection of any company in Florida. And what I tell agents is, if I'm a homeowner, why am I buying insurance in Florida? It's to protect me from hurricanes. And here is Market Watch, a Dow Jones publication. And for the last 4 years, they have said Security First has the best hurricane protection in Florida. And that shouldn't surprise you because, again, it goes back to we're privately held. We're trying to build a business for our children and our grandchildren. So we are extremely conservative and we buy a lot of reinsurance.
Very good point. And I want to go back and highlight too, when you talked about the claim experience for clients, I think it is important for agents to know that the client will have that option of the check or the repair, because oftentimes, especially after a big storm, finding a contractor, a roofer,
Is
electrician.
impossible.
Correct.
Is impossible. But look at it from the contractor's point of view. Okay. Unfortunately, I buy a lot of roofs every month. And if you're a roofer, you like that because you're getting work during the year, okay, from me on a regular basis. Oh, and they know they get paid. They don't have to chase me for money. So when a storm comes and my claim department calls them, we go to the top of the list. If you're a one-off, okay, who just happen to have a claim and you call this roofer, they'll say, we'd love to deal with you, but give us 6 months to get there. Whereas our people are out there the next day or two. And you can, again, you can go on our website and you can look at the testimonials that we've got from customers that actually rave about how easy it was, how fast it was. And we have a lot of cases where the repairs to our home is completed and the home next door still has a tarp on the roof.
Yeah, I definitely have seen that. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit as Renegade is expanding and adding more agencies to be able to offer your products. Let's talk a little bit about the products themselves. I know that we have homeowners, we have the landlord policy. Talk a little bit more about how the product started, what some features are that we should know about, and then what might be in the future for Security First as well.
Well, the first thing that you ought to know is we have 9 separate products.
Okay.
And we try to cover, we have the ability to write 95% of the homes in Florida. Okay. And we go, our best selling products is what I'll say is our high end HO5. Okay. That's for customers that have a home worth over $500,000, have no prior claims and good credit. Okay. And if you want a really, really high-end policy and you've got an expensive home and no prior claims and good credit, Um, that is our probably number one bestseller because it's very competitively priced. At the other end of the market, if you want to say, what's the minimum I have to buy to keep my mortgage lender happy? We have a DF1, okay, which is an ACV policy, very limited coverage, but it's cheap, okay, and it provides the minimum, and in between, we have our HO3, and our HO3, I would say, is distinguished by some of the special features. Okay, we have a discount for military and first responders. We have a disappearing deductible. So the AOP deductible disappears over 5 years, and it's part of the policy. It's not a separate policy. And we offer what agents would have told us they wanted, which we added, was when you qualify for water coverage, we can sell you different limits of water coverage, 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40,000. So the policy has a lot of flexibility, more than the average HO3 policy. It's called our HO3 signature policy. And then you've got a condo policy, and you've got a dwelling fire policy, both for owners and for landlords. So we try to cover, as I said, 95% of the homes in Florida.
Very nice. And future-wise, do you see Security First adding other products, getting into other lines as well?
Well, no, we're not going to get into auto business or commercial residential. The only thing that we don't provide is E&S coverage, because we'd have to do that in a separate company. And I think E&S business, homeowners and condos, is about $1 billion in Florida. And at some point, we would like to offer an E&S product that would complete our suite of products, everything from the high-end HO5 down to an E&S risk that had multiple losses and some a tougher risk.
Gotcha.
The one thing that's a little unusual, which maybe most agents are not aware of, we sell ex-wind policies all over the state, and we sell about 50 of those a week, because there are people who say, I've got a good roof, brand new roof. You guys charge too much money for your hurricane coverage, so how about selling me a policy that excludes wind? And we'll say, okay, fine. And we sell about 50 of those a week, which surprised my product people.
Yeah, because it can be expensive, and some people, I would rather them have that ex-wind policy than nothing at all.
Right.
Yeah. Now, you've talked about your experience over the years. I know you have your bachelor's, your master's, your JD. You've served on boards and in the Senate. How important do you think it is for insurance agents, perhaps, to have that broad range of knowledge and continuing education when it comes to servicing our clients?
Well, I think that to keep your insurance license and your, in my case, my law license, you need some continuing education. And for me, that's very annoying, because I think the only people that make money on that are the people who sell the courses, and I'm not sure it really helps. I think for an agent, the most important thing is the personal touch. Okay, and as an agent, you've got to be active in the community. I think that's important. However you want to be active, whether it's Kiwanis or Rotary or your church or volunteer work, whatever. I think that's important. That's more important than the education. Okay, you got to develop the rapport and the knowledge of your community. And from my point of view, we want to have agents that are familiar with their community. And because we count on our agents to pre-underwrite the risk. And I've had a lot of cases where agents have said, look, yeah, you really don't want this risk. Okay, we'll give it to somebody else or put it in Citizens or whatever, because it might look okay in paper, but it's not really okay.
Yeah, and I
And
think that's a testament to you as a leader. You're saying, serve the community, be part of the community. This is not just about the bottom line, which I think goes back to being a privately held company because it's not about the profit, first. It's more about the products, your employees,
yeah,
and for us, our clients as well.
well, and what we want to do is provide a consistent market for the agents, because they've had a lot of ups and downs. One little piece of trivia. Okay, we've been in business for 21 years, and during that 21 years, 40 40 homeowners insurance companies in Florida have gone out of business.
Oh, wow.
40.
Wow.
And so I would encourage the agents, the franchisees, to be very careful in picking out who they want to do business with.
Mhm.
Because as you probably know, when you have a company that stops writing business for one reason or another or goes bankrupt, that's a problem to your customers and it's a problem to you. If it goes bankrupt, the state of Florida, FIGA, Florida Insurance Guarantee Association, is going to knock on your door and ask for a big check for return commission.
Mhm.
Okay. And a lot of agents, when some of these companies have gone bankrupt, have had a hard time stroking a check for 100% of the return commission because the FIGA cancels the business, I think, within 30 days. Boom. So 100% of the return commission is owed by the agent to the state of Florida.
Yes, and I've
And
been through that, so I definitely understand.
yeah, okay. And it's not a pleasant situation, is it, for you or your customers?
Mhm.
And that's really something they ought to think about. 40 companies going out of business in Florida, homeowners insurance companies, since we started in 2005.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
big number.
Yes. So definitely something for us to think about. Another feature with agents working with Security First that we were talking about offline is the ability to do the automation renewals with Citizens. Can you talk about, go more into depth about what that is and what you guys can partner with us with?
Well, all of Citizens' data is public. Okay. So what we did was we took the Citizens IDF file, okay, which is all of Citizens' data, and the Citizens renewal file and put them together. And we have the ability to load that into our computer and quote all the Citizens renewal. Okay. And so what we have told our agents is if they give us permission, they have to opt in. We will load 100% of their Citizens renewals uh, into their computer,
Hmm.
and it will appear as an application. And to complete the application, they only have to answer 7 questions. They don't have to put the whole thing in. I mean, because there's some data, as I told you, like one of the pieces that Citizens doesn't have is what's the birthday of the co-applicant. Okay, we
Yeah.
ask for that because we have a senior citizens discount. Okay, so there's a couple of items that you got to put in, and you got to check the data, but you can then issue a policy in Security First. And our experience has been with the recent renewals that about 25% of the renewals that we run through our computer are within the 20% threshold for not being allowed back into Citizens, and that's using an average insurance score. And if you have a customer that has a better than average insurance score, then the price will go down. And but agents have to opt in, and we load the information weekly, and it's 65 days out, because you've got to work your Citizens renewals within 7 days of when you get them, or they go back to Citizens, I think, in you have to place them there with no commission, right? I mean, it's something like that.
Yeah, or they choose where it's being sent to, and I'd rather be able to
Yeah.
present the client
And
with the
yeah,
ability to
and
choose themselves.
yeah, and a lot of agents don't like the fact that they lose control of the business and it goes to somebody they've never heard of.
Right. And newer companies that don't have the track record that I might not know if they're going to be around in 5 years. So that's
Right.
definitely a great feature and a partnership that we can work with together. So you're in the insurance from a different perspective than a lot of our listeners. I would love to hear what you feel maybe some of the challenges in the insurance agency or insurance industry now, and maybe the future. What do you see us moving towards in Florida?
Well, we only are in a small part of the insurance industry, which is homeowners insurance in Florida.
Mhm.
Okay. And the good news about being in the Florida homeowners market is it's growing. Okay. The official state projections are for 300,000 people to move to Florida every year for the next 5 years. Okay.
Mm.
And there are going to be 100,000 new single family homes built in Florida in 2026, 2027, 2028. Okay. So the market is growing. Okay. And that's good news for agents and that's good news for insurance companies. And about 1/3 of our business, new business, comes when a home changes hands. Okay, it's either a new construction or a sale, something like that. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity. The challenges are the weather. Okay, the computer models tell us that there's going to be more hurricanes more often. And so uh, we're going to have to struggle with dealing with that. Um, we struggle with rising water. Okay, if you go to some places down in Fort Lauderdale in that area, I mean, at a high tide, you can have a flood. Okay, so the exposure is there. Okay, and the exposure to natural disasters, and we as a state and we as an industry are going to have to learn to deal with that. Politics is always a problem, um, particularly in Florida, because the fellows and girls and boys in Tallahassee meet 60 days every year, and they can turn the business upside down. So that's a that's something that we have to keep an eye on. I think we have a little bit of advantage there since I was up there for 12 years, and keep a pretty good eye on what's going on. So those are some of the challenges. I think, but our challenge as an industry, from a customer's point of view, is we don't think we're competing with another insurance company. We think we're competing with Amazon because your
Mm.
customers' expectations are set by Amazon. They want to be able to reach out and talk to you anytime, okay, in the way that they want to do it, whether it's on the phone, it's text, email. Okay, so a customer's expectations are set by Amazon, and we have to be able to live in that world. It's tech enabled, um, and it's a lot more interactive. I think people are frightened by artificial intelligence. It's something they don't understand.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with intelligence. Okay, it's a computer program that uses data and mathematical formulas. It is going to cost jobs. Chubb has just announced that they're laying off 20% of their workforce, 8,000 people over the next 3 years. Um, and, that should be concerning to some folks. But I don't think it's doom and gloom. Um, the because there is pushback. For example, there's a bill going through the legislature now that requires human eyes to look at every single claim before you make a claim decision.
Yeah.
And judges are pushing back on lawyers and making them sign a statement that they've read their brief and they understand it. Because one of the things that happens in artificial intelligence, it's called an hallucination. Are you familiar with that word?
Mm-mm.
Well, an hallucination is something that AI comes up with that's totally false. Okay, like a case that doesn't exist. Okay, it's just a mistake. It's called an hallucination, and AI, that happens. And so you're always going to need a human to look at what is generated by AI. In my continuing legal education course, the way they phrased it is what you get from AI is what you would get from a first year associate at your law firm.
Hmm.
Okay. It covers a lot of ground. It's probably mostly right, but you really need to look at it. And I think particularly in the homeowners business, you're going to need the human touch. I think in the auto business, it's a little different because there's only so many autos and so many ways to repair them. I mean, it's a finite number. But you look
Right.
at the way they build houses. I mean, a lot of it's the same, but every house can be different. So it's literally an infinite number of things that can go wrong and have to be fixed.
Very interesting. All right, Locke, as we start to wrap up this podcast, if our agents want to learn more about Security First, tools, resources that might be available to them, where do they go?
Well, they can go to our website, securityfirstflorida.com, or they can drop me a note, and I will we have 10 territory sales managers that travel around the state, and we'd be happy to talk with them,
Yes.
either over the phone or in person.
Yeah, I did see that was listed on your website too. You have your team listed, which is great because then a lot of the insurance companies now are just sending us to a phone number or to an email. So we still want that human connection. And I love that Security First has that available for us.
I'll tell you a story. We used to have a metric that we looked at because when we get agents calls, we say what the subject is, and we looked at them, and we had this one big agent who was calling us a lot when our computer said, they could have answered this question by going on the computer and looking at. And so I went, and he was in Orlando, went and sat to him. And I said, why do your people call us so often? And so they brought in the manager, and they had a real simple answer. Said, we like to talk to you people. And so I said, that's really a good thing. Okay. I mean, we try to be nice to our customers and to our agents, and some of them call us because they like to talk to us. And we try to answer the phone quickly. We try to give agents direct access to underwriters. And we just try to be good folks to do business with, because that's what we're a family held company that wants to be here for a long time, and agents are a critical part of that.
Yes. And like I said, it starts from the top in the leadership. And I definitely felt that on the interview today. So thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you for the time.
Awesome. That concludes our podcast for today. Again, Locke, thank you so much for having us
You're quite welcome.
Being interviewed today.
Okay.
You're
quite welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Insurance podcast. If you would like more information, would like to join the Renegade Insurance family, go to renegadeinsurance.com today.